Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our lesson on Makharij al-Huruf, points of articulation of letters. Now, how is the articulation point of a letter determined? Basically, what you have to do is whatever letter you're trying to figure out the articulation point for, you put a alif before it, or really you can put any letter before it, but just say you put an alif before it with a fatha, or you can use a kasra, but we're just going to use fatha, okay? And on that letter you put a sakin, okay? Or you could put a shadda, but in this case we're going to put a sakin, okay? So you see, the ba has a sakin, and before it the alif with a fatha, we put that there. So when you say this together, wherever the sound stops, whatever the position of your tongue and your mouth is, that's the articulation point of this letter, okay? So when you say eb, okay? So where the sound stops is when your lips close, okay? So basically that's what the ulama, that's what the scholars of tajweed use to determine the articulation point of this letter. Okay, so the articulation point of the ba, which we'll learn later on inshallah, is the dry portions of the lips touching, coming together and touching. Now the first section that we will talk about is the jawf, or oral cavity, and this is basically the empty space in the mouth and the throat. Okay, it's like when your tongue is relaxed on the bottom of your mouth, the space between the top of the tongue and the roof of your mouth, and the hollow space in your throat. This is all called jawf. And there's three letters that come from the jawf. Okay, and these are basically like long letters, right? Long vowels. The first is empty alif after any letter with a fatha. Okay, so we have a meme with a fatha, and there's an empty alif after it. Okay, and so how you would say ma. So the a part, that's from your jawf. Okay, and remember, this is an approximate makhraj. Okay, these letters don't exactly have a specific place like other letters do. Okay, this is approximation. Okay, and the other is waw sakin after any dhamma or bish. Okay, so here we have a waw sakin, and before it we have a dhamma. Boo. Okay, so the oo sound, alright, that's from the jawf. Okay, and ya sakin after any kasra or zir. Now ya sakin, before it we have the ba has a kasra. B. Okay, so the e part, that is also from the jawf. Now remember, in all these three places, try to keep your tongue relaxed, and it should not be touching the top of your mouth. Okay, especially the ya, and you'll understand why I say especially the ya later on, inshallah. The next makhraj, okay, is al-halq. Okay, is the throat. Okay, and the letters from the halq are hamza, ha, from the bottom of the throat, okay, ayn, ha, from the middle of the throat, and ghayn, kha, from the top of the throat. Okay, so back to hamza, ha are very light. Do not put pressure on your throat. It just comes from the inside out without much pressure. Hamza, ha, the small ha, okay, not much pressure. Ayn, you put a little bit more pressure in the throat. Okay, and ha, you use more air than this one. Okay, so ha and ha. Okay, and then ghayn and kha, the back of the tongue rises slightly but does not touch the top of the mouth, and you can actually feel the back of the tongue going up and sort of vibrating where this where this letter is coming from. Okay, al and al and al. Okay, al-lisan, this is the tongue. Okay, so basically now the rest of the letters that we're going to be covering are from the tongue, except the last three. So these are the parts of the tongue that we will be coming back to. Okay. This is the back of the tongue, the middle of the tongue, the front of the tongue. Now, off with the 2 dots on top is from the extreme back of the tongue, touching the top of the mouth. And what part of the mouth does it touch? It touches the soft palate. Okay? And kaf, so this is al, okay? And kaf is slightly in front of the qaf, touching the top of the mouth, the hard palate. Okay? So, qaf is all the way in the back, kaf is slightly in front of that, and the kaf touches the hard palate, the qaf touches the soft palate. So to go back, like the qaf would be right here, the kaf would be like right here. Okay? Alright. Now the middle of the tongue. We have the letters jim, okay, and sheen. They're pronounced from this portion of the tongue. And ya, okay? Now remember, we talked about a ya from the jof. That ya is only ya sakin with a kasra before it. Any other kind of ya, okay, any other kind of ya is from here, from the middle of the tongue, going up and hitting the portion of the mouth right above it. Okay, so the jim, sheen, and ya, okay, hits the portion of the mouth, the top of the mouth, right above it. Okay, so if you have a ya with a fatha, or ya with a kasra, or ya with a dhamma, or ya with a double dhamma, double kasra, double fatha, all of these are pronounced from the middle of the tongue going up and hitting the top of the mouth. Example, ay, okay, or for jim, aj, for sheen, ash. Okay, now we have the letter dad and the letter lam. The letter lam is pronounced from, this is your tongue, right? This is the front portion of your tongue. The front, you use this portion of the tongue, okay, to touch the gums of the teeth from basically from the baby blue to the other side. Okay, all these, that's the gums that you have to touch. Okay, using this portion of the tongue. Now the letter dad, okay, you use the side of the tongue right here, and remember, this is the top of the mouth, not the bottom of the mouth. So just remember that. Okay, so you use the side of the tongue. Either you can use both sides, or you can use one side, okay, touching the corresponding sides, okay, on your teeth right here, the white ones, your molars. Okay, and it touches the gums. It doesn't touch the teeth. It touches the tongue touches the gums very, very, very close to the teeth on the sides, but does not touch the teeth. Okay. Aldo. Okay, and the dad is a heavy letter, so the back of the tongue has to rise. Aldo. Okay, and dad, actually you'll learn later, inshallah. Not only does the back of the tongue rise, so does the middle of the tongue. Okay, so the middle and the back and the side parts have to hit one of these sides right here. Okay, aldo. All right, and el. Okay, طرف اللسان. Okay, so we talked about lam, right? Is this portion of the tongue, all right, touching the teeth right here. Okay, so noon is you have this tip of the tongue, okay, basically touching the gums right here. N, okay, and you have the makhraj of ra, okay, and you use this portion of the tongue, l, okay, and you're supposed to touch right here, right? Personally, when I pronounce ra, I don't touch like the gums right here. I touch slightly back, and my teacher said it was fine as long as I'm pronouncing the ra properly. So inshallah, whatever is convenient for you. Okay, so ta, dal, and ta. Okay, so here was lam. Okay, here's noon, and here's da, dal, and ta. So the portion of the tongue slightly behind the noon, this is not too far back on the tongue. Okay, remember, this is the top of the tongue, so this is not too far back of the tongue. It seems a little bit far back because of the picture, but it's really, really, really close to the tip. Okay, you use that portion of the tongue to touch the gum line of the back of the top two front teeth, right? So to go back, basically right here, okay? Where the gum meets the teeth, this is where you're gonna be putting that portion of the tongue right here. So almost right where the raw is, alright? Now I did speak or correspond with a sheikh who teaches tajweed in South Africa, and he disagreed, and he said that the portion of the tongue that you should use for the ta, dal, and ta is right at the tip. Okay, so inshallah do whatever is most convenient for you. So for ta, at, for dal, ad, for ta, el. Now ta is a heavy letter, so the back of the tongue also has to rise, and the middle of the tongue also rises, okay? Because it's the four heaviest letters in the language are ta, dha, sad, and dad. Okay? So al ta. Alright. Now sad, sin, and zay. Okay. They're pronounced from the front tip of the tongue touching the top of the bottom front two teeth. Okay, remember that the touching here is not very strong. Okay, so you don't it's a very, very, very light touch. It's almost like it's not touching. Okay, so and because sad is a heavy letter and one of the four heaviest that I told you about, the middle and the back of the tongue rises when touching this portion. Okay, and for sin, s. For zay, as. Okay. Now dhal is pronounced, okay, and dha, but dha again is heavy, so the back and the middle portion of the tongue rises, and tha is light. So all these, the front portion of the tongue, okay, the tip of the tongue, touches basically the sharp part of the top front two teeth. Okay, right here. As. Okay, this is as. Remember, back and middle rises. El. So that's how you get that heavy sound when the back and the middle rise. And the th, s. Okay. Now the letters ba, waw, and mim are pronounced from the lips. Ba is pronounced with the dry portion of the lips touching. Ab. Mim is pronounced from the wet portion of the lips touching. M. And waw is pronounced with the incomplete touching of the lips when the lips are rounded. Okay, so you make your lips round. Ooh. Okay. Oh. Okay. Alright, Jazakallah khair for watching.